It's not often that a major city seriously considers changing its structure, but Portland's commission form of government is outdated and probably as antique as your grandmother's teacups and maybe just as fragile. It doesn't take much to break part of the city's dysfunctional system where individual commissioners actually run multiple city departments and really do not have to cooperate with each other if they don't want to. Just drive to downtown Portland if you want to see the result. And that's why a volunteer group of 20 citizens representing a diverse group of folks spent a year and a half studying ideas to make the city function better. Here's what they came up with. First, hire a professional city administrator to run the place and take control of city departments away from those city commissioners. Instead, commissioners would set policies, sort of like the state legislature. Second, don't let the mayor vote with the city council except to break ties. Let the mayor run the city day to day with that administrator. And then third, divide the city into 4 districts and elect 3 commissioners from each district using ranked choice voting. The Charter Commission believes those changes would make Portland much more effective in dealing with big problems like homelessness and crime, and also more responsive to voters. But not everyone agrees. In fact, 3 of the 28 members of the Charter Commission voted against sending that plan to the voters. And now groups are forming on both sides, one to support the plan, the other trying to kill it. Last night, the Portland City Club held a debate with members from both sides. And I'm going to show you some clips from the event. But before we do that, I want to sort of apologize for some technical issues. I don't know how you sort of apologize. I want to apologize. The feed from the site has the audio unsynced from the speakers, so that means you're going to see their mouths move, but the words are not going to be matched up the way they should be. So I just want to let you know, it's not your brain, it's the feed. All right, here we go. The first comment I'll play involves the question of multiple districts and multiple commissioners from each district. Supporters argue that it would allow elected officials to work with each other and their communities and to find solutions and problems better and to give council members a better understanding of how to solve local issues. But those who are against the plan, including former Charter Commission member Vadim Mazursky, say it would be very hard to hold elected officials accountable.
People do want district voting. They want to have that accountability that if one individual represents you, if they're doing a good job, keep them in office. If they're doing a bad job, vote them out of office. Those smaller districts, and I would say 7 to 9 districts for representing Portland. I believe Commissioner Mingus Maps will have a plan by Monday as to what that would look like is a good number. That's along the lines of the school districts that you're voting for already. You already know the organization, the neighborhoods that are involved, rather than the plan where you don't even know where your neighborhood will fall in and which district. So let's have smaller districts where you have similar needs amongst your neighborhoods, where you're electing one individual, possibly using ranked choice voting like in New York City or Alaska or some of these other places, but not this very esoteric and unique style of ranked choice voting where with only 25% of the vote will get somebody elected. That means you'll never get an incumbent out of office because they always get about 30 to 40% of the vote. This way, you'll have that accountability, you'll have that representation, and you'll have that on the ballot in May of 2023. You only have to wait a few more months to vote for that, and it'll be enacted in 2024.
So what he's talking about is a plan by City Commissioner Mingus Maps, who promises to try and put another version of charter reform on the ballot in the spring if this current version fails. And by the way, he thinks this current version should fail. But it's also important to point out that there's no guarantee that his alternative reform would get enough support from city commissioners to make it onto the spring ballot. Another topic of debate, the cost of changing Portland's structure. The folks who want you to vote no warn that it could cost as much as $40 million, and that's a lot of money. Supporters of the change, though, say, no. It'd be closer to $18 million, but then it might cost as much as $8 million a year moving forward. Here's Saul Mora, the Civic Engagement Manager at the Coalition of Communities of Color, which supports charter reform changes.
I want to start off by saying that change is going to cost. That's one thing that is absolutely certain. An alternative proposal would cost, and I think you have the benefit of not knowing what that will actually look like. Another thing that I want to add is that we need to invest in the infrastructure. Yes, money would be great for direct services, but let's think about the coordination of how you deliver city services. We could invest into one type of service, but if you're not actually centralizing the way that those services are getting delivered to Portlanders, that is the issue that we see here. It is structural. We don't have the structure to deliver those services to Portlanders across the city. And so this is a direct investment to get us to a place where we do have the capacity of city council members responsive to the size of our city. And I also want to end by saying that if you look at the percentage, it puts it into perspective. Of the entire budget, this is 0.14%.
So she's saying not that much from the overall budget. Which way are voters leaning on this one? Well, polling done by the firm DHM Research for the Oregonian and for some business groups found that 63% of Portland voters back charter reform. The company's VP of Research, John Horvick, told me people do want change.
The last time Portlanders had charter reform on the ballot was 2007. And at the time, about 2/3 of Portlanders said that the city was headed in the right direction. Now about 1 out of 10 Portlanders think that the city is headed in the right direction. So this is an opportunity for them to vote on something to change the direction of the city. And they're anxious to say yes to something. Over 60%, I think it was 63%, initially said, yeah, I'm interested in saying yes to this ballot measure.
Yeah, bring it on, they're saying. But Horvick also said that voters are not totally locked in yet. 1 in 4 say, yeah, they're locked in. But the rest are either leaning or thinking about it, or they're also open to arguments about why it's a bad idea. So that's why you're going to hear a lot more about this huge potential change between now and the November election.